Hello and welcome to another episode of Statford Bridge, Chelsea by the numbers. Some pretty good numbers today. I'm gonna do a short pod. I streamed after the game, so my longer form thoughts are there. Chelsea went at home 3-1 to Liverpool in a game that gives them not buffer, but it gives them some rope in the chase for Champions League. That much is very much true. And they played pretty well. Like, Liverpool rotated a little bit. It wasn't a fully rotated team, but Chelsea played pretty well. Nani Madueke played as a left winger again. Cole Palmer looked the best he's looked in 3 months. Romeo Lavia started in midfield. Caicedo as a right back, and it mostly worked again. Lavia went off. Caicedo went into midfield and was excellent. It was a pretty positive day all around. Chelsea's first goal is one of the best goals they've scored all year in terms of playing through a team and getting your acceleration from the build and not from transition. I think overall it was a pretty good day all around. And it's backed up quite nicely in the numbers, 3.1 to 1.05. There's a penalty in there, so it's like a 2.3 to 1 non-penalty XG game, which, like, at home against Liverpool, you'll take that 1,000 times out of 1,000. And what I thought was particularly interesting was Maresca got hammered for this quote where he said, we didn't plan, I promise you, to defend deep in this game. We plan the game to high press in the way we always do, but sometimes they're so good you have to defend deep and you have to adapt, and the players dealt with that very well. And he's getting hammered for this quote, I think, because they're like, oh, the players ignored your instructions, blah, 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 which is, like, obviously not what the quote says. And I think he's right that like, Chelsea did have to defend deeper and they did it quite well. But I think that quote is whatever. The more interesting thing is that Chelsea defend deep 65% of the ball to 35% of the ball. They take 6 more shots. They take better quality shots. They have more box touches despite having 35% of the ball. When they were able to play through, they got exceptionally high quality box entries, and they got a lot of them. And I've said a few times, like, I don't think that I think Chelsea have not had a statement win this year. That, like, there have been some good performances and with less than good results, and there have been some bad performances with pretty good results, but they haven't had, like, the trifecta of a good result with a good performance against a good team. Like, they beat Newcastle, they didn't even play that well, and it's at home, and Newcastle are probably not in that bucket. Like, they didn't beat Arsenal, they didn't beat City, they didn't beat Liverpool the first time. Like, and they played well in some of those games, but they just didn't get the trifecta. And this is pretty close. I think it will not ultimately fall into that bucket because of the squad rotation on Liverpool side, but I think this is not far off of that, and was a pretty big, like, very positive step forward, I think. And because of that, the table now looks as such. Chelsea remain in 5th. City are on 64. Newcastle are on 63. Chelsea on 63. Forest are on 60 with a game in hand against Palace tomorrow. Villa are on 60 with no games in hand. Chelsea have quite a bit of goal difference on Forest and Villa, so it's almost like an extra point, which is very helpful in this. And the bookies have it something like 65% for Chelsea now. I think the bookies have it 50% that Chelsea make top 4 and 67 or 68% that they make Champions League. Opta have it 66%. That feels about right. If Forest drop points tomorrow, I imagine that's going to balloon. And, a fun thing that we notice on stream is, based on the games remaining, Arsenal play Liverpool, then Newcastle, then Southampton. If they lose, to Newcastle and Liverpool. They go into the final day on 67 points. Manchester City play Southampton and Bournemouth before somebody bad on the final day. I can't remember who it is. Somebody not good. Fulham. So actually not the worst. On the final day. That would, if they lose to Bournemouth, beat Southampton, they would be on 67 points. Newcastle play Chelsea. They play Arsenal. And then they play, I can't remember who they have on the final day. They have Chelsea, then Arsenal, then Everton on the final day. If they draw Chelsea and beat Arsenal, they go into the final day on 67 points. Chelsea, if they draw Newcastle and beat United, they go into the final day against Forest on 67 points. And Forest, if they draw Palace and then beat West Ham and I think Leicester, they go into the final day on 67 points. And so there's a world where every single one of those teams is on 67 and 2 through 5 is up for grabs. And you can even throw get Villa to 66 on the final day. That would be bonkers, and it's not even that crazy. And there's other worlds, if for example, Chelsea draw Newcastle, and then Newcastle lose to Arsenal, and then Chelsea beat United, and Forest win 2 of their games in hand. There's a world, or win 1 or win 2, draw 1. There's a world where Chelsea and Forest are on 67 on the final day, Newcastle are on 64, and a draw locks them both into the Champions League. So, and if that was the case, I guarantee you it would be the worst 0-0 in the history of football. It would be scandalous. But this is where we are. So, a lot of really weird permutations, but Chelsea at 35 games have matched their points total from last year. They've improved the defensive side of the ball. They are the joint 3rd best defensive group in the league, which feels like a pretty important step, and the XG backs that up a lot. The attack definitely needs some work, I think, but not bad stuff. Again, I think we're now at a point that kind of whatever happens from here, Enzo Maresca is probably not going to lose his job, but we'll talk about that at the end of the season. The last thing that I want to talk about is the set pieces, because I'm going to lose my mind. So Chelsea concede a late corner to Virgil van Dijk. A header off a corner. It's a good goal. It's a nice set piece. It's a pretty good chance. Okay? And I saw so many people say, the set pieces still suck. What are we paying Bernardo Cueva for? I'm going to break it down. I'm going to be very clear. I'm very explicit. Because now we have a whole season of data. And this doesn't include the cups. And guess what? If I included Conference League set pieces, this number would be humongous. Because Chelsea have destroyed teams on set pieces in the Conference League. So, it's fine. Last season, so this is non-penalty set pieces. So throws, corners, and free kicks. That includes shooting free kicks. Last season, Chelsea scored 11 goals from 10.5 XG. Okay? And they conceded 12 from 14 XG. So they ran -1 on goal difference and -3.5 on expected goal difference. That is horrific. To put that in context, I think -3.5 would be the 3rd worst team in the league or something like that, which is what they were, I think, on set pieces last year. This season, Chelsea have 11 goals from 14.3 XG. So, they're even on goals with 3 games left in the season, and they are 4 XG better. So, just imagine what this season would look like with 3 extra goals. And they've conceded 9 goals from 10.7 XG. So they have improved by 3 defensively, and they have improved by 4 in the attack for a 7 expected goal swing, and they are currently 3 actual goal difference better than they were last year. To put that in context for you, A goal in the Premier League is worth something like £2.5 million. Okay? And a goal in the Premier League is worth something like 2/3 of a point. So by paying the release clause for Bernardo Cueva and paying his apparently quite large wages, Chelsea have won themselves 2 points and $7.5 million. And by the end of the season, that might be $10 million, $12 million. It might be 3 points. It might be 5 points. So you look at it, and I say, and I will leave the question open to anyone who listens. If you can find a more efficient place, let's say that they paid $1 million to get him and they're paying him £1 million to get him and £1 million in salary, which they're not. I challenge you to find anywhere else at a football club that you can spend £1 million and get 1 point as your return on investment. I would tell you that there's basically nowhere. It does not exist. So like when people want to get all angsty about the set pieces, they're legitimately better. And like, imagine if we were imagine if it was better than this. Like the things you could do. I don't think Chelsea are Arsenal. I don't think they're Brentford. I don't think they're Liverpool. But I think they went from like the third worst team in the league to the seventh worst team in the league, and that's big. And that's really big. And you do that in a season where you're playing twice a week the whole year and the squad is changing and blah, 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 blah. What does this look like next year with another summer to work on it and the group stays mostly the same? Where do you get on set pieces? So that's where I'm going to end it there. Really nice win for Chelsea. Set pieces are good. Champions League is maybe going to happen. Let's see, my friends. As always, enjoy the soccer.